Not. Oh, there you go.
Hello, everyone. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 7th of March, 2024, live on YouTube. I do apologise with a late start tonight. Unfortunately, I've been out tonight, but we are live tonight, Thursday, the 7th of March. Funny enough, now, I feel like next week I'm going to be nearly going like it's now just under a week till my birthday, believe it or not. So, not long until 21 comes. But we've got a huge amount of news and plenty of news stories to review over the next hour or so, and also a look at a music festival taking place in London in a couple of weeks' time as well, which is going to be kicking off the huge season of music festivals in this country. I'm joined by late passport to Zach Chambers around all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Right, now we're going to do something a bit different this week. We're going to be talking about our, should I say, our heroes and villains of the week to start the show off with, because I want to talk to you about some news regarding someone we lost this week. One of the heroes of this week is a guy who is from the Hairy Bikers. I just want to mention his name because he's important to anybody who watches this show. It's Dave Myers. Dave Myers, you might not know him. Unfortunately, he died on the 28th of February at the age of 66 years old. And I just want to say, this man here, he was a celebrity chef. He was obviously, I think, used to ride bikes as well. And, Cy King is a guy who has stood by his side for a long, long time. And even he's going to get the nomination tonight as well. The Hairy Bikers are going to get the whole nomination because, Dave Myers, unfortunately, we lost him early the other day, just the other week on the 28th of Feb. It's a horrible loss for the whole of this country and for the whole showbiz community as well. These two, obviously, Dave in particular was a great role model for these two guys. He was someone who put his heart on the line for Cy all the time, making the show and going around doing culinary adventures. A bit like what Gordon, Gino, and Fred done. They made their show. They done lots of cooking, and it's not the same without them. The BBC have lost they've done a lot of shows on the BBC, and we obviously mourn the loss of Dave Myers, who unfortunately passed away earlier in the week at the age of 66 years old, as well. And in terms of my villains of the week, I'm going to give it to Jerry Halliwell this week. I'm going to give it. This might surprise you this week because it's a Formula One nomination, and it's going to go to what's happening at Red Bull Racing this week because there's been reports. Obviously, someone got fired today at Red Bull. Someone who's very close to a complaint. Someone who was part of the Christian Horner case has apparently been fired today. Zach will explain more in a minute about what's happening there. But that person has been fired today. But Jerry Halliwell, Jerry Horner, as she's now called, Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls, said she would not be attending the race. She's now said she's now going to attend the race, apparently. Is this some false PR stunt that's been going on as well today? I have no idea. And if you ask me, it is an absolute craziness. And also my final nomination this week, as well, for the villain of the week. Unfortunately, this nomination probably won't surprise you. I am going to be giving it to Jeremy Hunt for a pretty underwhelming budget as well this week, where yes, there are some positive signs. Yes, national living wage, the minimum living wage is going to be going up. At least where people are working, minimum wage is going up. That's a good thing. At least more people get more money. But then also taxes will be rising, and we will be going through the budget very, very shortly. Zach, what do you make to my nominations this week, heroes and villains?
Yeah, interesting. I have to say, I agree with you on the Dave Myers one. No doubt about it. I mean, he's a wonderful lad. Completed many cooking shows as part of the Hairy Bikers. He's a wonderful lad. I mean, he's comes across natural and human. Is energetic, fun, interesting. Shows off his cooking skills very well, and he'd be thoroughly missed. He created some very entertaining shows throughout the years. as well, and it's a big loss, Luke. That is as well. Dave Myers. It really is. It's a sad loss as well. And yeah, he's. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been grieving as well. He's presented obviously that one half deck Harry Bicon with Cy King as well, and yeah, it's a very sad loss as well. He also took part in Strictly as well. We should mention as well, but yeah, it's very, very sad. And I think we all need to relate a lot to him as well with his total loss as well. So, yeah, very, very sad news about Dave Mars. Rest in peace, and the memory be a blessing. Heroes and villains of the week for me. My hero this week, I'm going to give it to someone who a bit staying in the older generation. I mean, very old. Springly Mike Fisher. He's nicknamed Ninja by teammates. He's still going on playing at football at the grand old age of 90 years old. That's my nomination, Springly Mike Fisher. He averages 3 goals a game following an amateur football career beginning in 1949. My goodness. He's a former RAF veteran as well. He plays every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 2 local walking soccer teams. He started playing since 82. He took a break from the game for a little while because become a granddad and everything like that as well. But he's fell in love with the sport as well. And he now regularly played for Old Croftonhams, who plays at normally Russia Olympics ground in Walsall. And he celebrates his 90th birthday with teammates in February as well. Bags 5 goals in a game against opponents 40 years younger than him.
I've just found it, Zach, as well. I have to say that this is hilarious. 90-year-old. I'm like, he should get a Guinness World Record for this, surely.
he may be old, but he's still wise and he's still got the skills. And that is Mike Fisher for me. Sprinkly Mike Fisher. He is my hero of the week. Villain of the week as well goes to the F1 community. I don't often say that quite lightly, but for several reasons. One, with a situation regarding Christian Horner. I mean, seriously, I don't know how low you can get with what's going on with him. But then again, we got the situation with Mohammed Ben Salman as well, where he's under investigation for 2 things. One is under investigation for allegedly trying to fix the result of interfere with a penalty given to Alonso last year at the Saudi Grand Prix, which we're at. And the second one he's been investigated for is for trying to not homologate the Las Vegas Grand Prix circuit. The fact that the FIA president, the top man of motorsport, is going around interfering with things in Formula One that has nothing to do with his role is a disgrace, quite frankly. And it tarnishes the reputation. Today's reputation, it got even worse for Formula One when the employee that made the complaint against Christian Horner got suspended. This is a day before International Women's Day, by the way, I should point out, as well. The audacity for that to happen, and for the fact that RB are putting every name of their female employees on the car, which you can't read anyway, because you're not going to see it on a TV screen, because it's really hard to see when you follow it on a TV screen and everything like that as well. But the audacity of that, and the fact is that this person got suspended as well. I mean, men are powerful, but they're too powerful sometimes. They are far too bloody powerful. I mean, Christian Horner's probably got a nice set of lawyers, a nice set of money as well, and he's probably used all those legal loopholes and whatever and power that he has to keep in his job. And that's how I sort of view it as well. And for this, with the Mohammed bin Salman, I can't spell his name. It sounds like I'm talking about the Saudi Arabian president then, but the Crown Prince. But no, I mean, seriously, it's a disgraceful look for the sport this week of what's actually happened. The fact that there's interference from the top level. on such minor things. I mean, I don't know when the interference was when all this Abu Dhabi drama started a couple of years ago. Goodness me. Well, no, where was the interference then? But nevertheless, it's been a disgraceful week off the track for Formula One. As much as it's been interesting, it is off the track and less of it interesting on the track. There's so much questions raised from Jos Verstappen's, intervention. It's come on. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? It's totally, utterly bonkers, and not in a good way. I'm afraid, not in a good way. It feels like F1 is not becoming especially when the second year of Formula One academies is starting. It's not a good weekend to be a woman if you're in the F1 paddock. Let's just say that. So the F1 environment is a proper villain for me this week because they are truly, truly being battered by the men, and it's not good luck at all.
We're going to crack on with the sport, I think, to start the show off with. Whilst we're going to stay on the subject of F1 now, because I think we need to talk about obviously last weekend's race, but also practice today in Jeddah, because I haven't watched much of practice today. But last week, obviously, Max Verstappen claimed another win. First of the season, and probably however many he's going to win this year. With second place going the way of Sergio Perez for Red Bull 1-2. And, of course, Carlos Sainz finished ahead of his teammate, Charles Leclerc in fourth. George Russell was fifth in the Mercedes. And then Lando Norris finished sixth, ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. McLaren's Oscar Piastri, the second of the two McLarens, finished eighth. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll completing the points in the two Aston Martins. Alonso heading up Stroll there. And also as well today, Lewis Hamilton has been hot under the collar with drivers in that fast-flowing section in the first sector, which is causing traffic issues in practice today. Lewis Hamilton was one of the drivers that was noted by a very angry, I think Yuki Tsunoda or someone like that was not very vivid in that doing a potential quali sim lap today. And one driver was not very happy. Zach, what did you take away from Bahrain and also today's?
What did I take away from that race? It was boring, number one. Not the excitement you want to do for the first race of the season. It was boring. Verstappen 22 seconds ahead of Perez. Blimey. I mean, he's good in that car. There's no denying that. As well, Red Bull 1-2, very boring. Not much track action. Sainz third place. That's decent result for Ferrari. Third and fourth. I mean, Leclerc's fourth place is decent considering the fact he was struggling all race. Let's just be clear on that. He was struggling going off the track. I mean, so many times in the early period, struggling with the balance, struggling to get in the corners. He was really struggling. Let's be honest with that. George Russell fifth. Okay result for him. He could have done better, to be fair. Mercedes was sluggish in the race pace. Could have been better. Norris sixth. I think they'll take that. Norris will take that as well. I think he drove a little bit away through the field as well, pretty well. Hamilton 7th, Piastri 8th, less of the result in. Alonso 9th and Stroll 10th. Out Aston getting those last 2 points. The most of the drama, I think, came towards the end, really, when the RBs were on those...
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, they were... I mean, I don't know what it was. I think Tsunoda was upset, having to swap positions, I think it was. And, yeah, he wasn't really happy with the team tactics, then took it out on Daniel Ricciardo. Nearly took him out on the outlap. Yeah, it was very unsportsmanlike behaviour for Yuki. I know he's a fierce competitor, but he wasn't very fit. It wasn't the appropriate attitude at all in that last stage of the race at all. And yeah, I hopefully he's got a better mindset this weekend going to Saudi Arabia as well. I think he needs to, this sort of stuff happens, and I think he needs a cool head, no matter how angry he is, and not taken out on the track as well. He's not a good look anyway. But yeah, we're in Saudi Arabia this weekend. It's the second race as well in the Middle East. And yeah, next cup race, obviously, in Australia is 2 weeks' time. So we've got a little break then. But this is one of the faster circuits on the calendar. It's actually a faster circuit than Bahrain, despite the fact it's been shorter. But expect a lot of fast laps and we may well see the true performance pace of the teams, given the fact this is one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. And we'll be able to see how fast Red Bull really are, how fast each team really are. Has McLaren gained a little bit pace? Maybe, potentially as well. Alonso looked good in practice too today as well. It's a close field. Has Red Bull turned it down like last week then, though? We'll be waiting to see as well. And the racing is on Saturday again this week. Qualifying is tomorrow. I have to put that one on record, I'm afraid. And then Saturday as well is the race as well, which hopefully I'll be able to see as well. But yeah, so everything's a day early again. We've had practice today, qualifies tomorrow, and then Saturday we are racing again ahead of Ramadan.
The only drama on the Bahrain Grand Prix was Nico Hulkenberg and Lance Stroll colliding on the first lap, which pretty much, well, no retirements, but Hulkenberg ruined what could have been a great race for Haas, finishing well out the points. And K-Mag actually finished 12th, I think. So, yeah, that's all of the F1 there. Moving on now to the football action, which, of course, took place over the week. Just a quick update on Premier League results as well. Some big fixtures. Obviously, Arsenal beating Sheffield United 6-0 last week in a massive thrashing of Sheffield United there. But this weekend's matches, and also as well in some other matches, Luton beat Aston Villa beat Luton 3-2. West Ham won 3-1 Everton. There were some highlights of last weekend. This weekend's matches, we'll see. Saturday's pick of the Saturdays will be Man U Everton, the 12:30 kickoff, and also as well, you've got Aston Villa Tottenham. That will be a particular big fight for the top four there. Arsenal Brentford is the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, and then also Chelsea Newcastle at Monday Night Football at 8, and then the big match of the weekend is 3:45 on the 10th of March. Liverpool play at home against Man City in a top of the title clash there as well at the top of the Premier League table. Zach, what do you make to many of the football results and upcoming fixtures?
Yeah. First of all, Charlie, I think I hear a drink being made downstairs. It may be I might be hearing things, but I if I get called, I will let you know. But yeah, going over the results Saturday as well. Let me looking at the results. There was no major surprises, to be fair, looking at the results. I'm more interested in some of the really key results. Arsenal 6-0 thrashing of Sheffield United. That they scored over 5 in the last 3 games. Impressive achievement there for them, and they're absolutely dominant in that display. Newcastle 3-0 win against Wolves was very dominant there. Spurs coming from one behind to win 3-1 against Palace. And all the 3 goals as well came within the between the 77th and 90th minute. So a really good job by them on that front. Liverpool left it late after controversial decision. Darwin Núñez 1-0 victory. Actually allowed Liverpool to get a 1-0 victory. Brentford had held Chelsea to a draw. Poor run and form continues to Chelsea in that front as well. West Ham, better run and form, 3-1 against Everton as well. Fulham 3-0 winners against Brighton. Luton Town, lost 3-2 to Aston Villa after putting up quite a fight, I have to say, as well in that game. Bournemouth 2-0 against Burnley, who almost probably going to go down, Burnley, because they've been completely bad this year. And in the Manchester derby, wow. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Hang on a minute, Charlie. I'm just going to get my...
Okay, unfortunately, my mate Zach has just gone off, so quickly to get his tea. I just want to say I'll go over the matches for you properly. Man U, Everton, Crystal Palace, Luton, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Wolves, Fulham, Arsenal, Brentford, Aston Villa, Tottenham, West Ham, Burnley, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Man City.
Hello, I'm back.
That's fine.
Hello, I'm back. Right. Where was I looking at, Charlie? As well. Where was I looking at? Right. So we went over the results. I want to mention some of the European matches that have been going on today, if that's okay, Charlie, as well, because and over the last week, because the Champions League last 16 second legs have been taking place. as well. And we got City, Copenhagen. Obviously, City with a dominant 3-1 victory there. Oh, through to the quarters they go. Real Madrid are through on aggregate 2-1 as well, but they did get 1-1 draws on that one. PSG through as well, 2-1, which have Real Sociedad, 4-1 on aggregate. Bayern with a dominant 3-0 victory after losing the first leg. I mean, they came back quite easily as well. So that's the Champions League fixture. So next week we will have Arsenal Porto. Arsenal are down 1-0. Going to need a big comeback in that one to be able to get through to the last quarterfinals. Then you got Barcelona and Napoli, which is 1-1 at the moment. That will be really fun to see on that one, to see who gets through. Dortmund PSV again 1-1 aggregate. Still not over on that one. And Atletico and Inter on the Wednesday as well. That is also stuff that is not over on that game as well. But I also want to mention what happened in the Europa League and Europa Conference League today as well. There was some very surprising results, I have to say, going through this one. Roma thrashing Brighton 4-0. Brighton have got lots to make up. I don't think they're going to get through to the round of 8, I'm afraid. Liverpool, on the other hand, comfortably 5-1 victory to get a Sparta Prague as well. I mean, very pretty dominant display on that one. Freiburg, West Ham, controversial penalty VAR decision in the end. Remain that West Ham did not get a penalty. They lost 1-0 against Freiburg. And in the other matches as well, we got Benfica, Rangers, the Scottish teams. 2-2 draw on that one. That's all still to play for on that one. I think Rangers put up a sterling fight in that one, actually, to be fair. But I'm afraid they also scored an own goal, which cost them dearly in the second half as well. So that's poor from them on that front. But next, and I'm also going to go to the Europa Conference League as well, because Aston Villa are also in that fixture as well. I think they drew it was 0-0 in that fixture as well. Yeah, 0-0. Both sides getting red cards as well. The Ajax player got red card. Tristan Guya and Ezu Konolsa also got red carded as well in that one. There's going to be the second legs next week, all switched to be at home as well. But yeah, I have to say, lot to work for the British teams as well. And as you mentioned, the Premier League this weekend as well, we got big fixtures involving Man United, Everton as well, crucial for the relegation battle as well. Arsenal Brentford at 5:30. Big match this weekend is Liverpool Man City at 3:45. And then Aston Villa Spurs as well is at 1 o'clock as well. And Monday night, Chelsea Newcastle, all important in that front as well, Charlie.
Thanks, Zach, for all the latest news there on the sport as well. I just want to also say congratulations to Dimitri Van den Berg for winning the UK Open Darts Championship the other week at Butlins Minehead Resort. I will be at Butlins next week in Bognor Regis. So all I'm going to say is that there won't be a show coming out, probably be until next weekend, depending on if I do film from there. But I just want to say, obviously, he won the event as well on that one. The Premier League is on tonight. Zach, what's the latest action in the Premier League? And also, what do you make to Dimitri Van den Berg winning the UK Open last week?
I have to say, Dimitri Van den Berg, congratulations. Very, very exciting ring for him. Dimitri Van den Berg is one of the pretty much a very good result as well. And it was incredible on that front as well. And the progress he made was simply outstanding as well. Tonight's Premier League darts. The final tonight, in terms of who got through, is Luke Humphrey and Michael Smith. Currently, it's 3-1 Luke Humphreys. He is at the moment on the way to winning the next tonight's Premier League darts week as well. Luke Humphreys, obviously the world darts champion, but Luke, he's doing well. He looks like he's winning 3-1. Michael Smith beat Luke Littler in their semi-final as well to get through to the final on that front as well. I just want to pay a little tribute as well to Tony Green, the darts commentator as well, who worked for the BBC for 40 years. He sadly died aged 85 on Monday he previously diagnosed with Alzheimer's as well. He was also co-host of Long and Run's TV show Bullseye as well. Just want to put that out there as well. Yeah, so that's on that front. But Luke Humphries and Michael Smith at the moment, 3-1 Luke Humphries at the moment. Next week, they'll be in Nottingham for next week's matches as well. I'll give you Peter White, Gerwyn Price will be the quarterfinals. Luke Humphries and Michael Smith, a repeat of tonight's final. And you've got Michael Van Gogh and Luke Littler in the also as well, and then Rob Cross, Nathan Aspel as well. It's 4-1 Humphries now. I think we know what the final result is probably going to be at this rate as well. But yeah, that's all in the Premier League darts as well.
Yeah, that's all of the darts there in a nutshell. I just want to move on as well, guys. We're going to move on to the budget now and talk about what's happened with that. So the Chancellor made a statement the other day in the Commons regarding the budget, where we have heard the following changes which are taking effect. This is, I believe, the spring budget, as they call it, or the spring statement. Jeremy Hunt has announced cuts in national insurance again, according to reports. Now, I just want to go over and clarify what that is, and we will be playing for you a short clip of the Chancellor's statement. So, what has been said? He said the national insurance has been cut by 2p. Labour said the move was con and it would leave many people worse off. The budget also included increases to child benefit salary thresholds and new vaping levy, while non-dom tax status was also abolished as well. He said the extended eligibility of child benefits for around 170,000 families, with people earning up to £60,000 getting benefits, and the full threshold for them will be withdrawn to 80,000. Mr. Hunt said the change to national insurance will be worth £450 a year to an employee, or an average salary of £35,000 as well. So that is really, he claims that he's turning a corner. That's what the Chancellor said. Zach, what do you make to the Chancellor's spring budget, pretty much?
Yeah, it was very light on content. Let's just be honest on that. It wasn't a budget of thinking that you thought, yeah, elections on the way. Obviously, every budget seems to split. Obviously, with the fact it's election year, anything that is done would tend to speculate the date of an election. This budget, the way it was approached and the way it's been announced, does not suggest to me that we are getting a spring election. It's so light on content, it does not scream spring election to me at the moment. As much as I want it to be, it doesn't spring it. Let me go through some of the stuff that was announced, because there's not much, to be fair, but there's some significant things. National insurance, again, 2p off as well, from 8% to 6p to the pound from April as well. That means that over the year, people have saved £900. Sounds great, but some people may not feel it. The high income child benefit has been changed a little bit, so the threshold has been raised from 50,000 to 60,000 as well, and which rate the rate which is charged and not withdrawn will be to 80,000 rather than 60,000 as well. So that's a decent change there. Oh my goodness, apologies for that. I think I just bit myself. But a few other things I want to talk about as well. Non-doms, that as well, that's gone. That has been Labour policy to get rid of non-dom within the budget. That's been a Labour policy. They've nicked the Labour policy of non-dom in the budget, and that's going to mean questions for Labour how they're going to fund some of their previous measures as well. Did they say that Labour have got no plan and they nick non-doms, which is the Labour plan? After all these years of complaining about it, they somehow nicked it. Sum that up for you. I mean, it's a bit strange, nevertheless, as well. Capital gains for properties being reduced from 28 to 24. Stamp duty, they've abolished the multiple dwellings relief as well. That means buying multiple properties in a single transaction. Furnished holiday lettings, abolish the tax advantage for landlords there. Fuel duty, alcohol duty, Fogan, air passenger duty will be increased as well. VAT threshold increased from 85 to 90,000. The oil and gas levy, or should we say the windfall tax, increased, extended again as well. The Household Support Fund has been extended as well. I think that's good news on that front, to be fair, as well. But the OBR forecasts, I mean, well, growth has declined in 2023, slightly up for 2024 and 25, significantly, I have to say as well. Bit up in 26, but low on 27 and 28 as well. Inflation is better, I have to say. It is supposed to come down under 2% potentially by the end of next year. But it's going to go above potentially up to 2% by 2028 as well, according to the OBR. And the tax deficit is still going to be the biggest it's seen for many years as well. The tax deficit is still going up despite that, because the thresholds have still not been changed. Tax benefit thresholds are still means that we are still paying more tax going into next year. So despite all the national insurance cuts and everything like that, no one is going to feel any more wealthy. They're going to feel poorer still. And that's what I got the sense from what the voters panel were voting on, and saying that they're not going to feel any better. This is a meaningless budget. Now, Jeremy Hunt could come out and, do another physical event, because this event was so light on detail, anything. It didn't feel like a budget. It felt less like, just a regular spring statement. And honestly, it's not an election winning budget. Let's just say that. Are we going to get all the juicy stuff like the income tax, the mortgage promises, the housing stuff later on? Who knows? But there was a lot of named constituencies as well, name calling for constituencies, MPs as well. It's very interesting. It's a little more of an election budget in terms of, let's mention a few constituencies, how thank you our Conservative MPs. But nevertheless, it does feel like an underwhelming budget in nature and execution as well.
Yeah. Well, let's play the video now of what the Chancellor had to say. And this is the budget statement, the so-called that I'm going to play for you right now, where Jeremy Hunt makes a statement to Parliament about what's happening with the budget. Have a listen to this. This is Jeremy Hunt making the statement on the spring budget. Have a listen to this.
Energy supplies don't want you to.
Thank you, guys. We will now play shortly after this advertisement. Here we go.
On April the 5th, employee national insurance will be cut by another 2p from 10% to 8%. Self-employed national insurance will be cut from 8% to 6%. It means an additional £450 a year for the average employee, or £350 for someone self-employed. When combined with the autumn reductions, it means 27 million employees will get an average tax cut of £900 a year. 2 million self-employed will get a tax cut averaging £650. The government will abolish the current tax system for non-doms. Get rid of the outdated concept of domicile. We will replace the non-dom regime with a modern, simpler and fairer residency-based system. From April 25, new arrivals to the UK will not be required to pay any tax on foreign income and gains for their first 4 years of UK residency, a more generous regime than at present, and one of the most attractive offers in Europe. But after 4 years, those who continue to live in the UK will pay the same tax as other UK residents. Recognising the contribution of many of these individuals to our economy, we will put in place transitional arrangements for those benefiting from the current regime. That will include a 2-year period in which individuals will be encouraged to bring wealth earned overseas to the UK, where it can be spent and invested here, a measure that will attract onshore an additional £15 billion of foreign income and generate more than £1 billion of extra tax. Overall, abolishing non-dom status will raise £2.7 billion a year by the end of the forecast period. To discourage non-smokers from taking up vaping, we're today confirming the introduction of an excise duty on vaping products from October 26th and publishing a consultation on its design. Because vapes can also play a positive role in helping people quit smoking, we'll introduce a one-off increase in tobacco duty at the same time to maintain the financial incentive to choose vaping over smoking. I'll make a one-off adjustment to rates of air passenger duty on non-economy flights only to account for high inflation in recent years, and I'll provide HMRC with the resources they need to ensure everyone pays the tax they owe, leading to an increase in revenue collected of over £4.5 billion across the forecast period. Next, I turn to property taxation. In recent months, following tenacious representation from the honourable members for St Austell and Newquay, North Devon, cities of London and Westminster, Torbay and Truro and Falmouth, I have been looking closely at our furnished holiday lettings tax regime. I am concerned that this tax regime is creating a distortion, meaning there are not enough properties available for long-term rental by local people. So to make the tax system work better for local communities, I'm going to abolish the furnished holiday lettings regime. Today I am announcing a landmark public sector productivity plan that restarts public service reform and changes the Treasury's traditional approach to public spending. And I start with our biggest and most important public service, the NHS. One of my greatest privileges was to be Health Secretary. Thanks to the NHS, I have 3 gorgeous children, the oldest of whom has been patiently listening in the gallery. The NHS is rightly the biggest reason most of us are proud to be British, but the systems that support its staff are often antiquated. Doctors, nurses and ward staff spend hours every day filling out forms. When patients don't show up or one member of a team is ill, operating theatres are left empty despite long waiting lists. Now, when we published the NHS long-term workforce plan, I asked the NHS to put together a plan to transform its efficiency and productivity. I wanted better care for patients, more job satisfaction for staff, and better value for taxpayers. Making changes on the scale we need is not cheap. The investment needed to modernise NHS IT systems so they're as good as the best in the world costs £3.4 billion. But it helps unlock £35 billion of savings, 10 times that amount. So in today's budget for long-term growth, I have decided to fund the NHS productivity plan in full. With that new investment, we will slash the 13 million hours lost by doctors and nurses every year to outdated IT systems. We will cut down and potentially halve form filling by doctors using AI. We will digitise operating theatre processes, allowing the same number of consultants to do an extra 200,000 operations a year. We'll fund improvements to help doctors read MRI and CT scans more accurately and quickly, speeding up results for 130,000 patients every year and saving thousands of lives, something I know would have delighted my brother Charlie, who I recently lost to cancer. We'll improve the NHS app so it can be used to confirm and modify all appointments, reducing up to half 500,000 missed appointments annually and improving patient choice. We'll set up a new NHS staff app to make it easier to roster electronically, and then the use of expensive off-framework agencies. And as a result of this funding, all hospitals will use electronic patient records, making the NHS the largest digitally integrated healthcare system in the world. Today's announcement doubles the amount the NHS is investing on digital transformation over 3 years. And on top of this longer-term transformation, we'll also help the NHS meet pressures in the coming year with an additional £2.5 billion.
Thank you there to Jeremy Hunt for the statement there on the budget. And that is it for the UK politics side of the review there. Into some more news now. I thought I'd mention this. Very, very important now to mention about more news. There is a couple of news stories that I want to talk about. One local as well. as well. There has been apparently a fire at Pitsea police station the other day, as well. I just want to say I think a few yobs have been arrested over that. There was apparently an explosion at Pitsea police station. We'll get that for you in a minute. Also, as well, the US have set up temporary port on Gaza coastal aid for delivery, as well. In some more news, and also as well, there has been some news from the world of broadcasting this week. Talk TV will become Talk Radio again from the summer. Talk TV will become online only again. It will go back to radio transmission following Piers Morgan's quite sensational quitting the other day. Piers Morgan announcing he will no longer be producing Uncensored on the station and be moving it online onto digital platforms on YouTube. And also as well, Dan Wootton has apparently a new podcast coming out after leaving GB News. Zach, what do you make to quite a huge roster of news over the last few days?
Yeah, I've seen the Pitsea fire, the fire station literally on fire. Was it the Pitsea? The police station. Sorry, the police station. I was going to say if the fire station was fire, that'd be quite bad. But yeah, that's quite doesn't look good, does it? Seeing the former station on fire, it looks like a fire came through the roof and is ruined that building completely as well. Fire scenes at 12:15 in the morning. Still an investigation at the moment ongoing due to what caused the fire at the moment. As well. Speaking of things that have been on fire, Southampton's EFL game got called off the other day because there was a factory next to them that was also on fire as well, if I remember quite rightly. A very scary class, I have to say, as well. But it's good to see that they managed to postpone the game and quite in advance whilst it was happening as well. It wasn't really good to see sights as well on that front. So yeah, that was not great at all. To be fair, as you mentioned as well, there's a port going to go into Gaza for aid deliveries that the US is doing as well on that front as well, and that's really important to be able to doing that. The Joe Biden State of the Union address is tonight, which I mentioned he's going to announce that during the State of the Union address as well. And speaking of America, we now know who pretty much going to be the nominees are. It's going to be Joe Biden, it's going to be Donald Trump, Nikki Haley out of the race. As well, she left it until Stupid Tuesday and just decided she's going to get humiliated, and then she's out. I can't say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Got no chance really. I think it was time to pull the plug really on her campaign. And Joe Biden, well, he's going to win everything as well. So it's going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump rematch in November.
Yeah, that's all the latest news. That I have to say, Zach, as well. Obviously, what's your reaction to Talk Radio going or Talk TV going back
that
online
one.
and Dan Watson's new job apparently doing his new podcast?
Yeah. So I think it's not surprised. They're not getting the views really. To be fair, I mean, GB News is filling that space already, and so it's not surprised they're going online. As well, I'm not surprised really, to be fair, and it's not, it's not surprise. So I mean, Piers Morgan went online, took his content online before anyway. I think they decided to do a digital strategy, as well. It's not getting much views online anyway. I mean, it's getting less on TV. GB News is sort of fill the right wing space anyway. So, it's not a surprise. They're not getting the views. They're not getting the audience. And it's probably why it's going online. It's not quite Talk TV now. It's now Talk, just online.
Well,
it's not really TV, it's online. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so what's your reaction to Dan Wootton's new podcast being launching very soon?
Huh? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Dan Wootton doing his
Dan Wootton as well. Well, he calls off communists. But he seemed to completely miss the point. It's the reason why he got suspended in the first place. Because whilst he's letting Lawrence Fox chuckle on and making sexist remarks to the woman, another person and another journalist, he complains about, oh, Ofcom are trying to censor me and everything like that. It's not the bloody point. The point is you allowed your mate on there to be sexist about a woman, and you are laughing and sniggering on there as well alongside with him. I have no sympathy for the man. I just think he's an idiot. He's a moron. Everything he complains about is communism. And he's just a moron. So I won't be listening to whatever he's venturing on. He's going to be a right-wing echo space. And I'm quite frankly, I'm not interested. Not interested at all.
Don't be surprised if he brings up Harry and Meghan on that. I wouldn't be.
It'll turn it into a 24-hour thing. He can't get away with it. It'll just be Harry and Meghan on all his shows. Harry, Meghan, like, and literally, he lives inside their heads. Honestly, he does. I can't deal with it. It'll just be Meghan bashing, Harry bashing, right wing of this, all that sort of. The government communist, I'm a communist. I can say what I say. I'm just rambling on. Just go on with it, Charlie. I'm just rambling on now.
Wouldn't you say the same with Piers Morgan, though? Because he has been very critical of the royal couple lately.
Oh, well, yeah. Piers Morgan's, I mean, he's just as bad, to be fair. He's just as bad. So,
well, that's all I'm going to say on that. That's all we're going to say on that, because, there's a lot of news to digest in that. But, yeah, definitely, I think as well, the news of the Pitsea Fire Station going on fire is a huge news for the local community here in the Basildon Borough. That we've lost as you know, the police station having a big fire there is a huge loss for the Basildon. Obviously, we hope that we can get a new police station built there, or the police station can be rebuilt in itself. But, it was causing problems. I spoke to one of my mates at work about this. And, yeah, as my mate Lewis is probably, I don't know if he's watching the show tonight, but yeah, basically, they had to reroute everyone. Everyone living in that area had to be rerouted around. They shut the road off, called in everything off, Traffic was being diverted. Oh, man, it's crazy, seeing all these scenes happen. It's quite something. So, yeah, I mean, not ideal. This is not something that I thought was going to ever happen. But, yeah, no, not ideal at all, seeing that. So, that's the latest news there from the world of news at the moment. Moving on now to Conversation Street. We're going to be talking all about drum sheds. TS5 Festival London taking place on the 23rd of March. This is in 2 weeks on Saturday. And we have the lineup confirmed for you. Boy, do we have a lineup. And you know what? I think we need to drop this actually right now. I'm going to drop a little jingle in, shall we? Because this is going to be headlining the music festival coming up at the weekend. So I would like you to have a listen exactly what I'm on about. This is what is headlining the music festival. Yep, Craig David is headlining the festival with TS5. His TS5 set, of course, which is taking place at the festival. And, of course, that obviously Craig David will be headlining it with his TS5 set. Of course, that song is 16 there that, of course, features on the set, including the Ibiza Rock set as well. You can view that playlist on Spotify. But, yes, Craig David will be featuring on the lineup. He's headlining it. It's going to be running from 12 p.m. to 10:30 at night. In order of the X Room appearance, X Room London, Craig David, Jax Jones as well. He will be performing. Jax Jones, a very good DJ, some really good tunes as well. And also, you might know Ella Henderson and her for this single here. This is her new single, Alibi, which has recently dropped with Rudimental. Yeah, Alibi by Ella Henderson. That's recently dropped as well. She will be performing at in the X Room London with Jax Jones and Craig David. Wes Nelson as well, also used to be on Love Island. He's also a singer as well. Obviously, recently collaborated with Craig David on the hit Abracadabra, very popular hit this year. Actually, he's gone off a lot, of course. But he's going to be performing as well. And then we also have as well Jemima Asamaya Carnival Takeover special guests. 24-Hour Garage Girls featuring Soj and Kelsey Chosen. And Will Manning, I think he's another famous person as well, DJ.
Capital DJ.
Yes, he's performing as well. Speaking of Capital Radio, Jordan North will be taking over that slot that Roman Kemp held. He's announced he's standing down from radio duties on Capital Breakfast, which I think takes in effect very, very soon, actually. So Jordan North will be your new we'll be waking up to Jordan North on Breakfast very, very soon as well. Also, the Y Room, this is Ibiza Rocks. I don't know if this is a Craig David set. I don't think it is. I think it's different. Ibiza set this. Emily Nash, Charlotte Vampire, Joe Lobel, James Haskell, another DJ there on that list. The Z Room, you've got Miami, DJ Set Mix, Ace, Charlesy, Omar Howard, and Dan Hills as well. The ticket prices are £29.50 per person. There's 3 rooms. It's 12 p.m. till 10:30. It's over 18s. I won't be going to this festival, unfortunately, but I'll surely be keeping up to date with it via social media as well. In terms of where the venue is actually based, Drumsheds is based in... if I can get the venue up for you now, it's located in N18 Tottenham, multicultural green community minded. Basically, it's located in an old IKEA building. For example, it is for Greater London for anyone accessible from London Liverpool Street, 20 minutes from there, and from Stratford, it's half an hour to drive. It's just, I think, off the M11, I think, with the M25. So, yes, that is TS5 Festival London at Drumshed's taking place in a couple of weeks. Zach, what do you make to the lineup for this festival? Bang it. I bet this is an absolute banger, this lineup, isn't it?
It is a good lineup. That's what I can say. Ella Henderson, Craig, Jax Jones. Blimey, what a lineup. It's a big lineup. Obviously, Craig as well. Come on. How could you not? Got Craig David, Jax Jones, Party Popper, Ella Henderson. You got Wes Nelson. It's going to be an absolute belter of a party. No doubt about it as well. It's such a great lineup. And I imagine, you got Nathan Dowey as well. 24-Hour Garage Girls as well. Just so much on the lineup. Good lineup as well. Ace as well is there. A Ready One Extra DJ. Used to be. Will Manning, obviously Capital. Priya and Tommy. I actually quite like Priya and Tommy as a DJ. People as well, because I've listened to some of the music before. So it's a really excellent lineup, and those who will be going will be treated quite a lot. They will definitely be treated.
I tell you what, this festival will certainly bring a lot of energy to London. This is the first huge festival of the year as well, really. Obviously, it is an indoor festival. This isn't an outdoor one, obviously, so if it rains, it's still going to go ahead. We are expecting, I think, about 15,000 people to attend this. It's going to be a massive festival. I think it's already sold out. If there's any tickets left, I'm sure I don't know if there's any tickets left, but, there are so many tickets available for this concert that literally it's all been sold out pretty much. But Drumsheds is certainly a festival that we all look forward to. And I think it's certainly a festival that will really light up the world of music. So yes, if you're a music fan or you love, obviously, any of these artists, it's for you. TS5 Festival London, hosted by Craig David, featuring many of these other artists, including Jax Jones and Ella Henderson, on the 23rd of March, 2 weeks on Saturday. Get that date in your diary if you're attending that event. Moving on now, we're going to chat one more thing now. A lot of people have been asking me to chat about this because this is really, really important now. We're going to be talking tonight about something very, very important. Again, this is probably political a little bit in a way, but also more sort of related to other people. We're going to be talking about supply chain crisis now, because I might have seen this at work the other day. I noticed bananas were apparently out of stock. And we know that there's been issues, I think, over the last few days with freight deliveries and stuff. Obviously, freight deliveries come in. Obviously, supermarkets get all their deliveries through freight and stuff. Product being shipped abroad, like bananas and stuff. But there's recently been lots of protests taking place, not just in France, but around the world as well. We've seen in Alpine Formula One team, I believe, that in France has been tractor protests taking place. I think maybe in Germany or some country taking protests. There's been a lot of protests around the world for different things, and I thought we'll highlight protest on tonight's show, because protesting is a big part. It's about spreading a message out for a cause. And Zach, the world of protest at the moment is looking very, very huge. Obviously, we've had the recent protests over in Europe about, I think, track farmers as well, food problems as well. It's been a busy week for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I want to sort of explain why farmers are protesting, especially in France as well, where they blocked carriageways, highways as well, and they pursued massive protests as well. The reason why farmers are doing this, and we should explain why they're protesting, is the EU's biggest. They are saying they're not being paid enough and are choked by excessive regulation and environmental protection. Some of the concerns, like competition for cheaper imports and environmental rules, are shared by producers in the rest of the EU, whilst others, such as food price negotiations, are more specific to France as well. So it's all about price, payment of farmers as well, competition as well. Farmers argue that push the government and to put down food inflation has left many farms being unable to use high costs for energy, fertilizer, and transport. The government planned to phase out a tax breaks for farmers on diesel fuel as part of a wider energy transition was also a point of disagreement and concern as well. There's also been ports as well as be concerned, environment, red tapes, subsidies, EU rules, reasons why the farmers have been protesting in France. And not only farmers in France, but in Wales as well, where they've been complaining as well. Welsh farmers have been complaining as well. They've protested against the Welsh government's new farm subsidy plans. They were objecting to what they call a major overhaul of farm subsidy in Wales, known as the sustainable farming schemes. The proposal would require farmers to commit to 10% of agricultural land to be used for trees and 10% for wild habitat, life habitat. Now, 3,000 people started protesting as well at the Senate the other day as well. Opposition party voted in favour of scrapping the Welsh government's controversial plan, but it was non-binding and well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Rishi Sunak has joined these protests, by the way. And Jeremy Clarkson, you may remember from Clarkson's Farm, the very figure, has called it, he's confused and thinks it's unworkable. So yeah, he can't get his head around it as well. So yeah, there's a lot of these farmers protests. This is all about environmental, this is subsidies, this is about pay, this is about attention, this is about getting control of their farms again. This is what it's all about, really. And they're protesting over that, and they're taking out to the streets, outside Parliament, blocking roads and highways. It's a big deal, actually. And competition in farming has become a big thing, to the point where people are protesting because they're not getting the wants that they need.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, as well. Like, yeah, it's very interesting. I just want to say, guys, I think that these protests have had a lot of impacts on supply chains, and food, and seeing shortage of food in your local supermarket. It's not ideal, especially for you guys as well, who all your shopping online and they're all out of stock. It's not ideal. So yeah, it can be a tough time, seeing these things happen. So yeah, please comment down below, guys, if you had any issues this week buying products like bananas, fruit, yeah, anything in general. just, it's mainly fresh fruit that's been affected, because I think there's certainly something that we really need to explain. So comment down below what you make of that. Now, one more thing before we go on to the musical interlude. I want to quickly talk about Russia now, because a lot of you guys don't know what Russia do, but we want to talk to you this week about what has been happening. It is, of course, unfortunately, 2 years ago since an invasion of Ukraine. And over the last few days, President Putin of Russia, Vladimir Putin, of course, has been out doing some speeches, from what I understand, as well. And Putin claims Belgium exists largely thanks to Russia. Russia has also warned as well of a full-scale war of Europe as Sweden finally joins NATO. As well, there's been a lot of news this week about, obviously, Putin doing these speeches about, obviously, his bids to claim victory in Ukraine. But Zach, I have to say, though, this week for Russia on the battleground, it's not been particularly all plain sailing.
It has not been plain sailing, I have to say as well. Ukraine, I'm afraid, is losing more and more land as well, and it's not very good to see more land, especially in the Donbass region. It's concerning that Russia are making gains in that area as well. But one thing, obviously, I think it was in Odessa as well. I think the Greek Prime Minister was there, and there was explosions near, just very close to the Greek Prime Minister. When he was meeting there as well. There's also all these arguments about Germany sending long-range missiles as well. France and Germany, not as there's been arguments all over the support that's been going on as well. So it's not a united front in Europe. It's not a united front going on there as well. There's some issues going on as well. Complaints about Germany's Ukraine policy as well, all a bit incoherent and all over the place as well. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, especially what's happening in Ukraine, and especially with the foreign policy nature of some EU countries as well. It really needs left something to be desired for, and is causing a few issues.
Yeah, and it's a weird one, because Zach, Putin has been making these statements. There's a whole rhetoric about Russia here. About Russia trying to take more land of Ukraine, and obviously this is having an effect over in America with Trump and Biden's differing views on this issue here. I mean, Zach, clearly, if you think, say, Trump gets elected, do you think he'll use Ukraine as a vital part of his presidency? Maybe, do you think that Putin would have inspiration from this?
Oh, it will take great influence from that, because it will use it as a landmark to allow him to take more of Ukraine. Really, that's how I think of it. It's not good that I say that, but honestly, it's how it's going to be if Trump gets in. I'm afraid he'll just give it a free donkey ride to Russia and allow him to take over the territory, and that's not a good thing. Ukraine needs to continue to be supported throughout. Congress needs to hurry up, get support done, and quite frankly, Europe needs to kick up the backside, just as they allowed Sweden into NATO today, which is big congratulations. I think that's thoroughly deserved after a long wait. And this is one thing that we can say about Russia's war with Ukraine, is they allow more countries to get into NATO and get protection for themselves as well on military and defence spending. Well,
that's all we can say on Conversation Street this week. Pretty much rounded up a big few issues there of the news, and we're now going to go into. Actually, we're not going to go into we're going to go into a musical interlude now. And I thought today we'll go back in time and play a song from the 1990s. This is a song that is a pure classic, and one that I think deserves an absolute must play in anything else. This is Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis. We'll see you in a few minutes' time.
Ooh.
Slip inside
Thank you there to Oasis with Don't Look Back in Anger. Zach, what do you make to that song?
Oh, what do I make to that song? Absolute classic. We heard that quite a lot when the Manchester bombings happened, and they there was a bit of an aftermath from that, and then everyone started using "Don't Look Back in Anger" as a sort of reason to unite the country, and that was a uniting song for many people as well. So I just thought I'd put it out there, but yeah, it's a very excellent song.
Right, well, that's all I can say on that one. We're just going to very quickly, guys, do the news. Sorry, I do apologise, it's getting late, but we're going to quickly crack on and do the newspaper headlines now. And if we have a chance, we'll link some of the papers together if they're all a similar issue. In terms of the papers, the Mirror gone with pension pinchers. Hunt's £8 billion stealth tax will hammer 8 million older people. Daily Mail goes, don't leave our country defenceless. That's that one. And also goes with the Christian Horner story as well. The Times, doctors to track patient step count in the NHS app. That's also linked to the budget. The Daily Star goes, outrageous cost to reduces. Bangers in back, but charges the same amount. Keep your filthy hands off our sausages.
Keep your filthy hands off our sausages.
Daily Express, Brexit is a great British success. Story of billions. I think Kenny Baker made a comment about that in the Express. The Guardian, US to build port on shore of Gaza to allow aid deliveries. Labour and Tories refuse the UK spending cuts for election. And Daily Telegraph from London is a no-go zone for Jews. Counter-extremists warned of risk from pro-Palestinian groups. Metro, I did nothing but show my baby love. And Financial Times, Hunt pulls £200 million for councils off clawing back. House Self Fund and Independent, Britain's most influential women. So what do you make to the newspaper headlines for Friday, the 8th of March?
Yeah, I'm going to combine some of the papers tonight. I'm going to combine all the ones that mention something has relevance to the budget tonight. So I'm going to start with the Mirror. I'm going to combine the Mirror, Mail, Times. What else am I going to do? And the Financial Times together as well. So I'm going to do them all, trying to get together. The Mirror's angle on this. is they've gone for quite left-wing perspective, obviously, because they're quite mirror lefty papers. Let's be honest about that as well. They focus on the stealth tax on the budget as well, because obviously there's been no changes to the tax threshold as well, and nothing for pensioners, I should say, is in that budget. If they went for something like income tax, that could have affected pensioners quite well actually during that budget. But no, nothing for pensioners in this budget. The Mirror's angle on this is that because of the tax thresholds, and the stealth taxes, it means that it's about 8 billion. It will affect 8 million older people as well, and will hit their average incomes of £1,000 because the Conservative stealth taxes, what the analysts say. So they're going for the older angle in the Mirror there as well. And yeah, it's not surprising really. There was nothing for pensioners in that one as well. And the Mail's angle, they're slightly critical of the Conservatives actually, because actually another area that it didn't feature in the budget was there no extra spending for defence in the budget, which is very surprising given the nature of the world, given what's happening across the world with Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, threats in the middle, threats in Asia as well. No extra funding for the Ministry of Defence. I think that's quite poor, to be fair. The military faces a £29 billion black hole as well. And, without the black hole, it means there's a problem funding our defence, getting our defence ready and everything like that. There are serious concerns that the budget do not address defence that well. And that is a completely problematic thing as well. And just want to mention Christian Horner's off those front pages as well. Obviously mentioned about the fact that the woman Horner scandal is now suspended. We can see them being supported why for Joe Halliwell as well on that one. The Times angle of the budget is the fact they're focused on the NHS plans as well for the future. The NHS plans in the future as well that's been funded by the Chancellor at the £3.4 billion. They're going to focus on technology, increasing IT systems, using better apps as well, better ways for people to book and change their appointments, which is understandable. They can doctors will be able to track patient step counts as well, which is very interesting. There could be the problem with that is there could be complaints about privacy issues in that one if they're upgrading systems to track step counts, and it's a way to show whether whose people could be sick and which one could get back into work. But it could also, it might be an issue of people's privacy being protected as well. So that's a problem there that needs to be addressed. What other budget measures mentioned as well? The Eye mentions Labour's and Tories' refusal to explain UK spending cuts for the 2024 election. Because of the way the budget is being spent, and because of the measures, there is going to be a black hole in the amount of headroom, and there's going to be a black hole in the amount that people can spend. The government are spending, doing a 1% real terms increase on protected budgets, but that means that there's going to have to be some savings elsewhere and spending cuts as well. Both parties are having under pressure whether will have to be cuts made before election as well. Paul Johnson, obviously, which later local council think bankruptcy and a struggling social care system means it's hard to see where cuts could come from as well. Chancellor pledged spending increases of 1% a year will white out by inflation, meaning real terms cuts to public services of 20 billion a year by 2028 as well. And I wanted to talk about the angle as well. This is the local council angle as well. Local authorities are being squeezed even more. We've had Birmingham this week raise council tax by 21% because they've gone back to avoid bankruptcy as well, and cut funding from other crucial services. And we've had more, over this to well, change of right to buy revenue as well. Hunt pulled 200 million from councils after clawing back house sale funds as well. And yeah, this is cancellation of 200 social housing project impacting local councils. I mean, that's not great at all. There are savings in that front as well, but the fact that they had to cancel a social housing project, yeah, the housing crisis is getting worse, and this is an example of how not to do it. So that's the budget measures talked about on the front pages there. Let's go to the Star. They're going for a very funny front page. Keep your filthy hands off our sausage. Thankfully, no one has touched mine or touched my sausages ever in that one. But outrageous cost to reduce bangers in BAP, but charge the same amount. They've reduced the sausage count. So is there only 3 in there now or 2? It looks like there's only
Looks like it.
3. Wasn't there 4 or something like that? I don't even know. I don't know. I bought a sausage back from Costa, but yeah, the Daily Star is campaigning on the disgraceful sausage change in a bun, in a BAP. Disgraceful. Less sausages. Oh my goodness me. Daily Express goes for the delusional headline: Brexit is a British success story worth billions. Except that's the absolute opposite of what's really happening. Complete fantasy for the Daily Express. Brexit has reignited UK's trade standing in the global market worth hundreds of billions of pounds, said Kemi Badenoch. Whilst other reports and statistics say that it's cut about 300 odd billion from the possible economy. Yeah, Kemi Badenoch is living in his really strange Brexiteer world. Yeah, it's not affecting the economy very well. It's actually, we would have less economy because of Brexit, so forget it. US port to build port on shores of Gaza allowed aid deliveries. That's the Guardian. As I mentioned, that is going to be mentioned in the State of the Union address by Joe Biden tonight in Congress as well. A joint session between the House of Representatives and the Senate. As well, the US forces are going to build a temporary port on the Gaza shoreline to allow delivery of humanitarian aid at a large scale. They're fed up, I think, waiting for Israel to come back and forwards and deliver the aid for themselves. So it looks like the US is going to do it themselves, which is actually welcome news as well. The Israel government seems to be very incompetent recently. I don't know what's going on there as well. The Daily Telegraph: London is now a no-go zone for Jews. This is on the fact because there's a lot of Palestinian protests that's happening in the capital every single week. There's another one this weekend, I believe, that's coming up as well, that we should be keeping an eye out on as well. But yeah, Jews don't feel safe, according to the Counter Citizen Star. There are risks from these Palestinian protests that there will be a minority amount of strict extremists within these Palestinian protests that will harm and to Jewish peoples, and that's just not acceptable. I mean, most of these protests that I've seen, there's a lot of people that are peaceful. They are protesting in a normal way, but there is a loud minority that are causing trouble in these protests, and these are just unacceptable and at all. And 2 more. The Metro go to: I did nothing but show my baby love. Mother on the run denies killing new daughter left in a little bag inside a shed. Wow. Astra, on Constantine Martin's denial of causing a newborn's death through gross negligence in court. A baby left in a little bag. How stupid can you be? How pathetic can you be? How irresponsible can you be as well by leaving a baby in a little bag? Like, no breathing air. You can't even breathe the air from it. It's pathetic that you even do that sort of thing as well. She's defending herself in court. And to celebrate International Women's Day tomorrow, the Independent gone with Britain's 50 most influential women as well. And they list a lot of names here, but there's 6 of them on this list on the front page: Flora Benjamin, Anna Whitehouse, Amy Dowden, Penny Mordaunt, Mag Alfonsi, and Kate Garraway. They're all in portraits as well. Penny Mordaunt has done an interview for the Independent as well. There's some other names I'm looking at: Naomi Campbell, Liberal Coleman, Kate Garraway, Sue Gray mentioned in there as well. Interesting. Alison Hammond, Georgia Harrison as well. Bridget Phillipson, Rachel Reed, Alex Scott, Little Sims, all mentioned in the Independent's front cover page of the British International Women's Day tomorrow, celebrating 50 of the best British, most influential women they feel like of 2024 as well. Girl power. And that is the papers for the 8th of March 2024.
Thank you guys for watching the Tonight Show podcast. Me, Charlie, and Zach live on YouTube. And have a great night. We'll see you again next week for another edition of the show. Take care and good night.